Who is this Haynes you speak of? Let's talk about the Continental Classic. It is time for us to do our weekly update on the Continental Classic 2024, the C2, as the cool kids as the hep cats like to call it. Let's start with the standings, shall we? We got a lot more movement than we had last week, which is good because it makes things interesting to talk about. Claudio Castagnoli currently at the top of Gold League with 6 points. Will Ospreay, second place with 1 match, 1 victory, 3 points. Brody King, Darby Allin, and Ricochet, I'm all tying them at 3 for third place because they both have, all three of them, have 1 win, 1 loss, and are all tied at 3 points. And Commander, rounding out the bottom, he's got 3 losses, so he has 0 points. Over on the Blue League, Kyle Fletcher is the only wrestler so far to have won 3 matches. So he is up leading Blue League at 9 points. Kazuchika Okada ticks every box. 1 win, 1 loss, 1 draw. He is at 4 points. Same with Daniel Garcia, so they are tied for 2. Shelton Benjamin is in at follows right behind. He has 3 points with 1 win, 1 loss. Mark Briscoe also has 3 points, but he has 1 win and 2 losses, whereas the Beast Mortos has 2 losses and has no points. So those are the standings. Since last week's Dynamite, I think these past few matches for the C2 have been absolutely phenomenal. I thought the matches that we had on the December 6th Rampage were tremendous. I know that I saw the Rampage rating earlier today that came out, and it was a complete disaster as far as ratings go. But quality-wise, this was probably the best Rampage they ever put on. As far as just pure match quality, we had Kazuchika Okada and Mark Briscoe, which I gave 4 stars to. Just a tremendous... I was so happy to see Okada wrestling like Okada kind of thing. I felt he was really wrestling an Okada style of match. But then on top of that, he was working at a really good pace. And it's Mark Briscoe who brought that out of him. So there was something in me that was like, oh man, this is really cool. This is really nice. You get the impression that most people really like working with Mark. I thought that was absolutely tremendous. And of course, Okada got the win on that one. So that was really good. The Daniel Garcia Beast Mortos match on the show was also very, very good. I give it 3.5 stars. Out of the 3 on that show, I thought that was the weakest, but was still really good. So when the weakest match on on a wrestling card you're watching is 3.5 stars, okay, we're eating good here. This is good. This is good, solid food here. This is a meal. This is a full course meal. So Garcia won that one. And finally, on that same Rampage, Ricochet defeated Commander I think we were able to nail right there the first truly great match of the tournament, because that was spectacular stuff. And not only the first great match of the tournament, unquestionably Ricochet's best match in AEW so far. He's wrestling a guy who, I don't want, not to say that he does exactly the same thing he does. That's not, that would be wrong, but wrestles a similar style. And they were completely in sync with each other, just doing some fantastic moves that tightrope walk that the commander does. He does it and then flips off into just this snap Rana, the snap Hurricane Rana. I was like, this is tremendous. What a hell. That was a tremendous move. Brainbuster on the apron. Followed a springboard 450. Just great stuff. Like that, we weren't missing out on anything in this match. It was tremendous. I gave it 4.25 stars. I thought it was great. Easily the greatest match of the tournament until we got to the next night on Collision, where we got Darby Allin versus Commander, which I think was just as great. I gave that 4.25 stars. I thought that was absolutely tremendous. Of course, Darby Allin won that one. Kyle Fletcher and Kazuchika Okada, which I thought was another tremendous match as well. With Kyle Fletcher winning the match, a lot of people seemed surprised. I had picked him. I had predicted that Kyle Fletcher was going over. And according to my pick'em, which we are doing in the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord. So I have a hell of a batting average. As far as Gold League, I haven't missed a single prediction yet. I have nailed all of my Gold League predictions. All of them. I was sort of worried about Commander for a while, but I think Commander settling into the loser role here in the block, which is fine. The league. I liked Kyle Fletcher and Kazuchika Okada quite a bit. I already like how Kyle Fletcher is adapting he's already adapting his style overall to not just be about big moves, high octane stuff all the time. Probably a guy backstage, let's say, I don't know, first guy to come up off the top of my head, Will Ospreay, sat him down one day and said, son, you can't maintain this style. And you can't go that hard all the time. You're going to have to adapt and change things so that you can still do the high level stuff when it's time or when you want to, push a really exciting final stretch to a match. But you got to work differently, especially since you're a heel. And, I think that Fletcher leaning into his Larry Zbyszko side here, doing a lot of stalling, and rolling outside of the ring. I don't hate it. I think it suits him well. I think it works quite well, actually. I was very excited to see that, and it works. So when he does do the moves, they're all the more explosive and surprising. Whereas in the meantime, he's just being a dick. And I gotta say, I got a kick out of him doing the draping DDT, from using the ropes and doing the little Randy Orton head bob before landing it. You think these people don't hear the stuff that we talk about? You think these people don't listen to that stuff? Come on now. As far as Okada goes, I know there is a lot of fear right now. There's a lot of anxiety regarding the use of Kazuchika Okada in AEW. There's a lot of that going on. I don't know if I ever openly talked about it. Maybe I did on the review a couple of times. I don't remember. The review being the AEW review, which I do every Thursday here on the channel. And, you should subscribe if you don't want to miss that. What you have with the Okada situation, which is crazy, is that a lot of people feel that he's not being pushed to the heights that he should be pushed to, because he is an international superstar. He's one of the greatest to ever do it. He should be getting his he should be pushed to his utmost value, right? Whereas I sort of look at it and I'm like, well, I get it. And to say that I'm excited about the direction that they have for Kazuchika Okada in AEW right now is a lie. But I think I don't hate it as much as other people do. But I do see some kind of redemption story here going on. Drawing with Daniel Garcia in his first match, losing to Kyle Fletcher here. He's putting young guys over. Something that he wouldn't do in Japan, right? But he's doing it here. So he's losing. I think that there's a lot of, now that the Elite has sort of unofficially disbanded, I think there's a lot of stuff where he has to reconnect with who he is, find the Rainmaker of old. It's a story we've seen Okada tell before, right? We all, a lot of us remember Balloon Okada, which wasn't necessarily his greatest accomplishment, or herniated back Okada, who was still wrestling with a herniated back, which, doesn't make any sense, but we've covered this in past episodes of the show. I think there's some of this going on, a rehabilitation of who Kazuchika Okada is. I sincerely believe that's happening. And I know a lot of Puro fans are extremely upset at AEW for the way they've handled him, but they're acting as if, I think a lot of them are acting as if his career is done, as if this is his swan song. Whereas if there's one guy that you would assume is just easy to rehabilitate, in the blink of an eye, it's Kazuchika Okada. I'm pretty sure. So we'll see how these next few matches go. But I really do feel like this is these uneven matches that he's been having so far are not detrimental to him in this tournament. And then another thing that I find funny is that a lot of the Puro fans who are, embodying anxiety right now because of how Okada is being treated in this tournament, I kind of wonder if they've ever watched a G1, because Okada would lose matches. Not every Kazuchika Okada G1 was a spotless record. He dropped a couple of matches here and there. I don't know what the issue is. I think the issue is, let me rephrase that. I do know what the issue is. The issue is that Okada was, in their mind, was not being well booked to begin with. So they're just continuing that trend here. We're just continuing down that trend with this poor booking in the C2. Would they be selling more tickets to shows right now if we had a hot Kazuchika Okada and he was truly one of the top guys in the company? We'll never know now. But there's still 2025 coming up. There's the All-In show. We'll see what they might develop here. And then Dan Garcia versus Mark Briscoe was next, with Mark Briscoe getting his first 3 points on the board, which again is super exciting. And I thought it was a really good match. On top of that, another great match. I'm telling you, all of these matches here, they all ruled. All of these matches. Like, if you haven't seen this weekend's Collision, if you haven't seen last Friday's Rampage, I would outright say just seek them out and go watch them. Go watch these matches. They're all good. They're all good to great. Most of them are great on top of that. Most of them are great matches. Excellent stuff. So you're just gonna have a really good time. You're just gonna have a really good time. And isn't that all that matters when it comes to pro wrestling? You should have a really good time. Like, no one remembered Okada losing to Kenny at the G1 when Kenny was US champ. Yeah, wouldn't that have been beneath him, right? Okada's career wasn't dead yet. yet. The same purpose fans that are complaining he's losing in the C2 are the same fans that were complaining when he won too many matches in the G1s. Yes. They'll never get it right. So we already went down the placements for both leagues. So some quick block analysis here moving forward. There's a little more to chew on this week. Let's start with the Gold League. I think as it stands right now, the Gold League is still very open. I think it's hard to, trace a victor or a clear path for someone. Mathematically, of course, you can have your own booking patterns in your mind, but it's still very open. And the reason why it's very open right now is because Will Ospreay has only wrestled one match so far. Most guys have wrestled 2 matches, but Ospreay has only wrestled 1. So he has 4 matches to go, while practically everyone else has 3 matches to go, outside of Commander, who only has 2 matches to go. So we could still go any way we want. Commander, as I was suspecting last week, I believe will be the recipient of the first soft elimination from Continental Classic expert, MrWarrenHayes. I think mathematically there are wackadoo paths for him to still make it mathematically to the end and maybe qualify for World's End. But these paths, and I myself sort of like threw my hands up and was like, what am I doing? I'm not gonna break down the paths, technically, but there are multiple draws that have to happen throughout this tournament. Like, especially between Ricochet and Darby Allin. That's essentially what has to happen. So, and not Ricochet and Darby Allin, Ricochet and Will Ospreay, excuse me. Those are the 2 that have to, they can get a win, but they have to, no, they can't even get a win. They have to rack up draws. So that's very unlikely, right? So this is what I've learned when it comes to, round robin tournaments, is when you're mapping out paths and you go and you look at everything you've jotted down, you look at your notes and you say, that looks unlikely, and they're not going to do it. They're going to go for the simplest ways to the destination they want to get to. They're not going to do these ultra convoluted. They might do, they got to do things for drama, but not convoluted. Convoluted does not equal drama. It equals good times for the stat nerds, but for the general public, they're like, what the fuck is going on? I don't understand. So while he is not officially eliminated from the Continental Classic, because mathematically there are still paths for him to make it to World's End, I nonetheless will soft eliminate Commander from the C2. And he will be the only person that I will eliminate. Why not Beast Mortos, Warren? He hasn't won any matches either. Beast Mortos still has the possibility of 9 points. Unlike Commander, who has 3 matches under his belt and only has 2, the max number of points he can make is 6. That is the max number of points. Beast Mortos still has 3 matches ahead of him. Could still, potentially, albeit unlikely, win his next 3, which would mean, what would that mean? He would have to beat Kazuchika Okada. He would have to beat Mark Briscoe. He would have to beat Shelton Benjamin. I could see him defeating Mark. I think it's unlikely he defeats Shelton Benjamin, but I'm not saying that it is impossible. And I don't think Okada is losing against Beast Mortos. Just say it. So, yeah, I'm like, Bernie can still win. Yes, exactly. It's like, wait. Or like Kamala this year, right? I said Kamala, excuse me. It's like Kamala this year. It's like, wait a second. Okay, so we lose Pennsylvania, but what if we win California and Utah? And it's like, there was a lot of that going on. So Beast Mortos. What a sidetrack. Beast Mortos, I don't think still has mathematically chances. Like, yeah, he's in the dumps, but he's not down in the dumps just yet. If we look at the board of who's left for people to wrestle, well, Okada has 2 matches left, right? So Okada and I would say that I would say that his biggest obstacle has been overcome in Kyle Fletcher. Apologies to the Shelton Benjamin stands out there. I think that his last 2 matches, being Shelton Benjamin and Beast Mortos, are pretty much sure wins for him. So I would say that ultimately, Kazuchika Okada is going to end with 10 points. That would be my prediction. Kyle Fletcher has Daniel Garcia and Mark Briscoe left. If I were, there's two ways you can go about this. Kyle Fletcher is absolutely beating Mark Briscoe. I think that's pretty much undeniable at this point. However, Kyle Fletcher, I am not sure, is beating Daniel Garcia, because you can tell the story of Garcia having a really, really soft debut in the G1, but coming over strong and defeating the only guy who's been undefeated. All right, because we haven't set, I don't think the Fletcher and Briscoe matches have been set for a date yet as we're recording this, right? There's not a date that's been set for this specifically, right? So I would argue that Fletcher's last match is going to be against Garcia, and Garcia is going to get what's going to be considered an upset win, because Fletcher will be on the path to sweep, just as simple as that. But I think Garcia is going to come spoil that. That's what I'd do at this point. Garcia has Fletcher, as we mentioned, in Shelton Benjamin, so not exactly a walk in the park for him. I can't imagine him ending with a losing record. His 2nd year in a row, he's the TNT champion. Shouldn't have made him champion then if you're just going to bring him in here and have him lose, you know? Briscoe has Fletcher and Beast Mortos left. So I think Briscoe has the potential to add another 3 points, but I don't think 6. So I don't think he's going to really be in the running. Shelton Benjamin, like we mentioned, has Okada and Garcia left. It's going to be a bit of a toss-up, not going to lie. I don't think he's beating Kazuchika Okada. And the Garcia match, well, that'll be interesting to follow. That will be very, very interesting. And Beast Mortos has Okada, Briscoe, and Benjamin left. You know, he could beat Mark Briscoe. He really could. But I think he takes the L to Okada, and I think he takes the L to Benjamin, right? As far as the Gold League goes, well, Darby Allin has 3 matches left. He's got Claudio Castagnoli, Will Ospreay, and Ricochet. We already know the Ospreay match is next week on the 18th. So Darby might be a player. He might be an important key for the final leg of the tournament, since 2 of his matches are still out there, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. 2 of his matches are still haven't been locked in. So I think he might not saying that he's going to be a crucial part, like he's going to be a contender to move forward, but I think he's going to be in a position to at least spoil some tournaments, and I 100% believe he's going to spoil Castagnoli's chance at he's going to spoil Castagnoli's chance at winning the league, because the way things could go easily is Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher winning both their leagues, so ergo not fighting each other in the semis, and then moving on to fighting each other in the finals, which I think is the least interesting option. I think you should have them fight in the semis and then have the blow off, be big and meaningful at the Australia show, and at World's End, finish your show, finish your C2 with Okada versus Ospreay. I think that would be tremendous. Look, we'll see. There's still a possibility that might happen. Castagnoli has Commander, Ospreay, and Darby Allin left, so he's got 3 matches left. He's absolutely defeating Commander. He's really got a potential for another 6 points. He really has the potential for another 6 points. It could be just 3, but I could see him get another 6, and then finish the tournament with 12 points. There's a solid case for him coming in second as a runner-up. Will Ospreay has, like we mentioned, 4 matches left, so he's the outlier that's making all of this really tough to predict. Ricochet has Darby Allin, Will Ospreay, and Brody King left. Brody King is going to be on Dynamite this week. That should be fun. I'm excited for this. As for Brody, he's got, of course, wait a second. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's this week, right? Right. Brody King has Will Ospreay, Ricochet, and Commander left. I think there's at least a 3 points in there somewhere for him. At least 6 max if you want him to beat Ricochet again, because I don't think he's beating Will Ospreay. And Commander, well, I think he's finishing the tournament with the goose egg. But I got to say, I kind of talked about it last week before we got into the Commander matches, after it was announced that he was going to be alternating for Juice Robinson. I said, I like Juice, but maybe Commander just might be an upgrade here. Turns out, I think Commander is an upgrade. No disrespect to Juice, but I think we're on the winning end here. And he might actually be the winner of, a sentimental winner of the G1, because if he continues having performances like he's been having, like at some point, Tony Khan is just going to have to wake up and say, yeah, you know what? We got to do something with Commander. He just can't be the guy that goes out and loses. We got to do something now. So that's where we're at right now with the Continental Classic 2024. My coverage of the C2 also happens over on the Dynamite review, which I record and put out there every Thursday. So if you want the updated version of the Continental Classic after Dynamite, make sure you subscribe to the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel, and or subscribe on your favorite podcast application, and you'll get your update on Thursday as I review the Continental Classic based on the stuff that happened on Dynamite the night before.